Morning.
How you doing this morning?
I'm okay. I'm good.
Okay, good. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Let's see. You are Harry Jack. Your DOC number is 540406. That's 540406. You've submitted an application for clemency asking for a commutation of your sentence. You were sentenced in 2008 to 25 years in Evangeline Parish for a forcible rape conviction by a jury. You do have a parole eligibility date, which is in November of 2028, and a full term date of August 2032. Is that information correct, Mr. Jack?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Your case has been assigned to Mr. Wise, so he'll start the process with you and answer his questions.
Okay, Mr. Jack, you've been incarcerated about 13 years, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Jack, during the time you've been incarcerated, did you take all 4 phases of the sex offender program?
Taking the sex offender program in Pine Prairie.
But did you take all 4? I don't see where you've taken all 4 phases.
Oh, I don't know. All I did was taking one for sure that I know of.
Are you enrolled here?
Ma'am?
Did you enroll here? Mr. Delegate, have you in the?
Okay, well, let's go ahead. I don't see it on your front. During the time of this lady here, how long have you known this lady?
4 years.
4 years? I want you to tell the board today, real brief, what was the reason for this?
No,
I said, what was the reason for this?
drugs. I was on drugs.
Huh?
I was on drugs.
You were on drugs. What drugs were you on?
Crack cocaine.
I can't hear you. I can't hear you too good. It's like it's muffled.
Cocaine, you said.
Crack cocaine.
Crack cocaine.
Okay, crack cocaine. All right. Did you have a knife involved in this on this forcible rape? Did you ever have a knife?
No, sir.
Well, I was reading the statements here where you stated you had a knife.
Yeah, well, I had a knife, but the knife I had, I forget the big guy's name. He was the jailer at the parish in Villeplat. He the one that took the knife, and it wasn't but a 2-3 inch knife.
Okay. All right. When all this was taking place, where was this at?
At our home,
At her home or your home?
our home.
At y'all's home.
Yes.
What you said it was drugs was the reason you did this. When you went to court, did you plead guilty or did you go before a trial?
I went to trial.
You went to trial and they
Yes.
found you guilty. You served 13 years of a 25-year sentence. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much. Also, you have a lot of opposition on your release and from law enforcement and the victims. I don't have any other questions.
Thank you, Mr. Wise. Mr. Marabella.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Mr. Jack, you said that drugs were an issue and you were taking crack cocaine the night all this happened. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
How long had you been using drugs? When did you first start using drugs? How old were you when you first started using drugs?
Ooh, I was in my 50s.
I'm sorry, what?
On for treatment for it at the time, though.
How old were you when you first started using drugs? I didn't hear you.
54.
54?
Uh-huh.
You never used drugs before you were 54 years old?
No, sir.
What made you start using drugs at 54?
Just trying it out to see what it was like.
How long did you use drugs before this offense occurred?
About a year.
And how often were you using it?
Ooh, once every week.
Were you addicted? Do you believe you were addicted to crack cocaine?
Yes, sir.
Have you taken any programs for drug use or substance abuse while you've been in prison?
Yes, sir.
What is your plan to stay off of drugs when you get out?
Go back to rehab.
Well,
Go back to
what do you
rehab.
mean? So you think you need to go back into rehab when you get out?
Yeah, I'd like to go back to it.
Why would you want to go back into rehab?
So, I don't know, just make sure I don't get back on it.
What do you consider to be rehab? Tell me what rehab looks like to you. Are you talking about going into a facility, spending the night there for 30 days or what?
No, we go twice a week at the rehab place in Mamou.
Now, I want to follow up a little bit on what Mr. Wise asked you. I don't see anywhere in your file except there's a sheet of paper that suggests that you took sex offender programming. Do we have any records? Is someone there from the institution? Do we have any records to know how much sex offender he took? Says he thinks he took one phase, but I don't show it anywhere except on page 55 of his.
We don't have any record of any formal sex offender treatment.
Yeah, I got it in here.
Well, I mean, there's a sheet of paper that says sex offender treatment. It says, yes, he took it, but I don't know what he took. What did you learn in sex offender treatment, Mr. Jack? Tell me about what you did to your ex on this particular night that was wrong, that you would change.
Drugs made me do stupid things.
All right. Thank you, Madam Chairman. That's all the questions I have.
Thank you, Mr. Marabella. I don't see any other questions.
No, ma'am.
Ms. Jackson looks like she might have a question.
Yeah, I was trying to raise my hand, but I
Yes,
think I
okay.
raised up the hand. Good morning, Mr. Jack.
Honest.
You're 65 years old, is that correct?
No, ma'am, I'm 67.
Oh, I'm sorry, 67 years old. And this was your first felony conviction, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any health issues at this time? Do you have any?
I'm diabetic and high blood pressure.
Okay. All right. That's typical for those of us who are 67, right?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Jackson. Mr. Jack, do you remember what happened on the night in question?
Yeah.
Not really.
Mr. Jack?
It happened.
You don't remember?
No,
You just,
ma'am,
you don't remember what happened. You just remember it didn't happen.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Because I do see in the record where you claim it was, the whole situation was consensual, where that you didn't rape her. And I just wanted to know, since you were on crack cocaine, if you had any recollection at all of what happened, and you're saying no. Okay. Warden Bordelon, is there anything you'd like to add?
Yes, ma'am. He's done okay here. He hasn't been in any trouble, no disciplinary reports at all since he's been here. I did recommend to him that I would like to see him get the risk management, all 4 phases of risk management, as well as some
All right, thank you. We appreciate you giving him that advice. Mr. Jack, is there anything you'd like to say to us before we vote?
Well, just hope everything turns out right. I mean, if not, may God bless y'all anyhow, regardless.
Thank you, sir. I think, Mr. Wise, you're prepared to vote.
Yes, ma'am. At this time, I'm gonna vote to deny. I think you need to be working on a few more programs and stuff, and there's some victim opposition, law enforcement opposition. But you need to go through all 4 phases of that sex offender program before I'd be willing to sign anything to send to the governor to have him sign. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Mr. Marabella?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Mr. Jack, I've enjoyed talking with you. It seems like my concern is that you really come to grips with what you did. It looks like you got some problems that maybe even go beyond your drugs. I mean, you had an issue with false imprisonment and some other things, domestic abuse, battery with the same woman a few years before that. So there was something going on between the two of you. I really do believe you need to concentrate on your drug issue, but also sex offender treatment. You need to realize what you did was wrong. I don't care whether you're married or not, you do not have the right to force yourself on a woman. And you need to understand and come to grips with that before I'm willing to vote to let you out. But I would be willing to do that if you get that program. So I'm going to encourage you to get some programming. Hopefully you'll be in a position to learn from your mistakes. That would be my vote today, would likewise be to deny.
Thank you. Ms. Jackson?
Okay, Mr. Jack, I agree with Mr. Marabella. I think that you do need to complete all phases of sex offender treatment. And for that reason, at this time, I would deny your request.
Thank you. Mr. Roche?
Madam Chairman, my vote is to deny Mr. Jack's request based on all reasons already articulated by my colleague.
Thank you. And I do too concur with my colleagues, Mr. Jack. Because of the lack of sex offender treatment, my vote today is to deny your application. So today, your application's been denied. I think the folks there can help you get enrolled in those classes. Good luck to you, sir.
Thank you.
You know, what was unique to me about this hearing was that Mr. Natsa was the one, not Mr. O'Shea, not Ms. Jackson, not Mr. Marabella, but Mr. Natsa was the one to ask him, well, you don't remember what happened that night? What happened that night? And you claim that you don't remember, but you also claim that you didn't do it. I like that she held him accountable for that. That's not something we see every day. We expected more from the others. And man, what a bad hearing. Can you even imagine? Man, you know, if anything, it might be able to make us appreciate the quality hearings at least. Now, there's something I'm going to have to read to you versus show, and that's because, unfortunately, the document lists his home address, even though I doubt it's his active home address, but YouTube guidelines won't care. So let me just read it to you. It's written Thursday, 2008 on June 19th. Jack, found guilty of sexual assault by jury. Of course, they use a different word for it. They use the R word. No parole for you, Jack. Do you have that book about Jack, by the way? There's a book I read about Jack. Anyways, after deliberating just over 1 hour, so quite a quick deliberation, just enough time to have lunch, in an Evangeline Parish jury convicted Harry Lee Jack of forcible sexual assault. He was 53 years old at the time. And you know what was fascinating about this, if you believe him, and I kind of do believe him, was he's like, Mr. Marbell's like, how long have you been doing crack? Well, I only just started. He's like, who starts at, what was it, the age of 50 something? Well, I don't know. I wanted to try it. And that is tragic if that's the case. It really is. Because who knows? He might have been, just a law-abiding, decent man. And then the drug, turned him into really the monster that's possible. I know he has a long rap sheet with his wife of those charges, but who knows if it was, crack that made him become the worst side of himself. Who knows? Just speculating. So the sexual assault occurred August 19th, 2007. And it was investigated by the police department. He was now, after being sentenced, he's facing not less than 5, no more than 40 years without the possibility of a parole or suspension of sentence, but he can apply for a commutation hearing. And we went through this the other day. You can, let's just go through it again just so you can see commutation of sentence guidelines, Louisiana. It's quite a joke when you see this. The minimum, here it is. So, these laws are created not for the survivors in mind, the victims in mind. They're like, the idea that anyone can apply for. So this is the statute for the application of a commutation of sentence. So an incarcerated offender who is not serving life may request a commutation sentence after serving a minimum of 10 years. So it's like, you can get a 40-year sentence for doing that to someone, but you can then disrupt their lives just 10 years later by applying for a commutation sentence. They cannot have a disciplinary report in the last 24 months. I mean, it's pretty laxed, right? This is to get approved for the commutation hearing. If you've been wondering, wait a minute, how did he get a commutation hearing? Because it's just not, the bar is not set very high. And for life sentences, you only have to have served 15 years. So for those who were given a life sentence, they're given life, they did something terrible to deserve that. The victim survivors just start kind of getting their life together, and yet that person is allowed to apply for a commutation of sentence after serving 15 years. And that's why we see these hearings that just shake to the core the victims. And it's just crazy that something like that would exist, in my opinion. I mean, really, just 15 years? Like what? But you might not believe it if you didn't see it. So there it is. And thank you, Richard. With that, I'll let you go.